with us. And they've all come to support Dee Gordon on her long walk to our nation's capital to ask the government for a national strategy for autism and to deliver thousands of signatures on petitions. My name is Kirsty Duncan. I'm the MP for Etobicoke North. And I have the honor and privilege of working with Dee and her awesome son Jacob over the last 6 years. And I've watched Dee fight tirelessly for Jacob, for new programs, and through 13 schools. In my office, and I have watched Jacob succeed because, well, he's a rock star. And because his mom does fight, but she shouldn't have to. And folks, I wish you could have seen when Jacob graduated middle school and as the most improved student. And a year ago, Dee came to me and she said, I'm going to walk to Ottawa for all families living with autism. And while we were in awe, Jacob reminded me that this will not be his mom's first trip to Ottawa. You see, Jacob convinced her when he was 10 to come visit me at Parliament. So Dee, you've walked 30 kilometers a week for a year to train. You've worked the phones and you've asked for support, and at last the day's here. And before I bring Dee up to speak to you, let me support her call for a national strategy. I've worked with children with ASD since I'm 10 years old, and I've seen firsthand how hard our families have to fight to get the help they need. No family should have to beg for the support so that their children can achieve their full potential. Dee, our office loves you, Jacob and Aunt Mary, and we want you to know we're here with you in spirit every step of the way. And I'd now like to introduce the unstoppable Dee Gordon. Woo! I'm going to take my gloves. I don't have gloves.
I have all these petitions that I'm going to bring.
Go close to the mic.
Good morning and welcome everyone. Before I thank all of you, my name is Dee, as you have already heard, and I want to introduce my beautiful children who are stuck in traffic. I'm very sorry. They weren't able to make it, but they are on their way because they support me. I have a wonderful aunt who lives with me. She's 88 years old, and she is at home cheering for us. So at this moment, at 11 o'clock, she has her pot with a spatula, and she's banging it. That's what she told me. So I can't believe that I am standing here in front of you, starting an impossibly hard journey, especially for a mom who does not like exercise, but a mom who loves her son very much. My son Jacob struggles every day, and he inspires always, especially now. This marks the culmination of 14 years of fighting for my son. Fights no parent should ever have to wage. A year of training up at 4 a.m. to walk 30 kilometers twice a week, gathering thousands of signatures and asking these amazing people, I'm sorry, gathered here for their support and to help me walk for families across our great country. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding that early intervention matters, for understanding this is about our children, for understanding that children should not end up in senior institution because there is nowhere else to go. I am walking to Ottawa to raise awareness and provide education about autism spectrum disorder, and ask the federal government for a pan-Canadian strategy, as was recommended by the Senate way back in, wait for it, 2007. The time has come for a national strategy so that no other parent watches their child hurt. and the supports not be available. Gord Brown, I thank you for your kind support. And your generous donation. Folks, Mr. Brown has arranged accommodations every night for this walk. Senator Munson, he wanted to be here, but he is out of the country. And I can't thank all of you enough for being here. To all of you, I wish I had better words to say thank you. No, I am enormously grateful. Please keep ringing your bells and be a voice for all the children who do not have one. And to Jacob, my children, and children across Canada, I hope I do you proud. Thank you. I'm sorry, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but this is my son Tim. And Tim is going to be following me all the way. So we're going to be spending 2 weeks together.
Dee, great. Tim, it's lovely to meet you. And now I have the privilege of introducing another tireless champion for autism, Kathy Carsley, Executive Director of the charitable foundation Unity for Autism. Kathy, and you're still warm enough to do
Hi everybody. 1 in 68 individuals are now affected by autism. More than 500,000 people have been identified on the autism spectrum here in Canada, and it is believed that at least 80% of these individuals are younger than 22. Dee Gordon is walking to Ottawa not to raise money for autism, nor to access programs for her own child. She is walking 500,000 steps on behalf of every child affected by autism in this country. Every step she takes is to raise awareness of the plight of the families of these children who are forced to undertake desperate measures so that their plea for help may be heard. These children will soon become adults, yet our government has not addressed this crisis, nor even begun to develop a policy to provide quality, coordinated, and comprehensive services on the necessary scale to meet their needs. There is great potential for persons with autism to become employed and engaged citizens, yet they are more limited by the failure of the systems responsible for supporting them than by the challenge of the disorder itself. My own son was extremely challenging until he was 8 years old. He was nonverbal, aggressive, and unmanageable.
Oh, do you want me to help you with a mic?
No, sweetheart, just come stand beside me.
Okay.
As his parent, it was incumbent upon me to access every possible therapy to afford him the best possible chance of being a productive citizen. Access to vital therapies have lengthy wait lists of over 5 years. Because early intervention is critical, I had to pay for these therapies myself and borrow from every possible resource to afford him the best chance of improvement. Sadly, most families have neither the necessary financial resources nor the guidance to access private care. Because of my determination to provide my son with the care he needed, in spite of the lack of government support, today my son is very verbal and articulate, who is a contributing member of our society.
Was that on a script?
He graduated from a community college and has worked for the same employer for years. He is the most dedicated and reliable employee that they have. If I'd waited for our own government to support his needs, I would still be waiting today. And it would be you, the taxpayer, paying for him to reside in an institution. Pay now or pay later. Every child affected with autism has the ability to reach their potential, provided they receive in a timely manner the support and access to programs they desperately need. It is a solid investment, not only in their future, but in our collective future as a society. It is an investment with guaranteed returns. Dee Gordon act of desperation is not an uncommon one for families affected by autism. We will do anything for the well-being of our children, as you would for yours. Canada is a country so advanced in so many ways. We have provided billions in foreign aid. We protect the interests of so many individuals abroad in both democratic and third world countries. Why can't our government afford to take care of our own children in their own backyard? I am in awe of Dee's determination and drastic measures to force our government to develop a national strategy for autism. What we dream can happen in unity for autism.
Kathy, thank you for your powerful and moving speech, and we're in awe of what you've done for autism. And now we have Christian Hansen from Autism Ontario, and then we'll hear from a few dignitaries, and then we're going to get her on her way. Woo! They're moving words.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming out today in the cold. My name's Christian Hansen. I'm here representing Autism Ontario. We're the province's largest collective voice representing the autism community. And what Dee Gordon is about to embark on is totally amazing, and on a personal note, I'm totally inspired by it. Before I worked at Autism Ontario, I spent 10 years as a direct service worker, respite worker, working with families all over the place in public and schools, and I was really inspired by it and I loved it. But I'll tell you, and I probably don't have to tell this group, that there's a lot of fear out there and there's a lot of frustration with what is going to happen to our kids on the spectrum. What happens when they start school and encounter the challenges? What happens after they finish school? What happens with employment? And all the things that can happen surrounding that, all the challenges. And at Autism Ontario, we get calls every single day from parents and caregivers, siblings, etc., that are terrified that their loved ones has just been diagnosed. What do we do? I have a suspicion that my child is on the spectrum. What should I do? And this has been all outlined in the Senate's committee report, Pay Now or Pay Later. We absolutely need a national strategy for autism. We need a clear path forward. We need a clear path for families to gain a respite, for therapy. We need a clear path for research, and so much more. And we're all standing out here today and we're freezing our butts off and we're all cold, and think of how cold Dee will be on that walk.
That's right.
She's going to be freezing, and there'll probably be times where you feel like giving up and throwing in the towel, and I know you won't, but just remember that on that walk, we are all walking with you.
Christian, well said. Thank you. Okay, folks, we're going to hear from three politicians who've come out here to support Dee today. I want to invite up Gord Brown. Gord Brown is the Member of Parliament from Leeds-Grenville, and I want you to know that this man has generously arranged for accommodation for Dee every night. And let's hear it, everyone, for what Gord Brown is doing.
Thank you very much, Kirsty and MPP Clark. I'm honored to be here today to see Dee off on her journey across Ontario, here from Queen's Park all the way to Parliament Hill. I met Dee about 6 weeks ago at an event for autism awareness in my riding, and my MPP Steve Clark, who's going to say a few words a little later. He and I have been working with some folks in our riding who are working hard on autism awareness. They're helping to raise money for service dogs and to help families who are facing the challenges of autism. When I met Dee about 6 weeks ago or so, I was inspired by what she was going to do, and I offered to help, and I'm delighted to be here to see her off, and I'll be walking with her when she comes through the Leeds and Grenville Thousand Islands area, and be there to see her at the other end at Parliament Hill, and I'm sure that Kirsty will as well. I know you want to get this underway, but I think that it's important to understand that this is a non-partisan issue. You've got Kirsty, who is a Liberal MP, myself, who is a Conservative MP, and the fact is that so many MPs are now working with people in their communities to bring awareness to this so important issue, and that's what's going to make a difference, and that's how we are going to get change, by people bringing forward their issues and having champions at the parliamentary level and making the difference. So, Dee, best of luck in your tour. I look forward to seeing you when you get down around Kingston, Gananoque area, and just my heart goes out to you and all the work that you're doing. Congratulations for doing this, because I think that it's going to make a real difference. So when you're going through and it's cold, just think that you are making a difference. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
Everyone, we thank all of us. Let's put our hands together one more time for what Gord's doing. And now we're going to have Steve Clark, who you've just heard about, and then her own member of provincial parliament and a physician, Shafiq Qadri, will come up. But Steve Clark, we thank you for coming out today. Welcome. Woo!
Thanks MP Duncan, MP Brown, MPP Quadri, ladies and gentlemen. I was at the event with MP Brown in Maitland, Ontario, in my riding of Leeds Grenville, and at our Friends for Autism event, Dee was one of the speakers, and I have to tell you, she overwhelmed people with her enthusiasm, with her commitment. I think she's got a whole bunch of friends in Eastern Ontario who can't wait to see her, to host her, and to see her success. The city of Ottawa is very close to our riding. We butt right up against it, and I know there'll be a lot of fans there with you when you complete your walk, and I just want to thank you so much for taking time out of your family time to come to our riding, to raise awareness about what you're doing. It's so important, and I know that MPP Quadri has been such a champion in your riding as well on the provincial side. So best of luck, and we'll see you soon in Leeds Grenville.
Thank you so much, Steve. Okay, the last person I'm going to, before I just invite up Shafiq, hands up if you're a parent or family with someone with autism. And we want you to know we're all here for you today. Okay, Dr. Qadri, MPP Etobicoke North.
Thank you very much to my honourable colleagues in the Federal House, Dr. Duncan, Mr. Brown, of course Steve Clark, my fellow parliamentarian here at Queen's Park. First of all, of course, welcome to the Legislature of Ontario. The weather, as we know, is a federal responsibility, so we'll leave that to you. We're here, of course, to support a very noble undertaking. I speak to you not only as a colleague and friend of Dr. Kirsty Duncan, but as was mentioned, also as a physician. So hopefully I have a somewhat deep insight into what the whole aspect of spectrum disorder, of autism, of Asperger's, and obviously having dealt with a number of patients and their families and all the related caregivers. So I have obviously a deep and long standing hopefully comprehension of what goes on and what you may be experiencing and all the different families who are here. So with that sentiment and with that vantage point and with that viewpoint, we can only be here to support you, to take your words to the decision makers at all levels of government, and to help you along this journey, which is, as was mentioned very eloquently by our representative from Autism Canada, we are all with you in this journey. And ultimately, it can only benefit our society, whether it's a happier and healthier and more prosperous children and a better and more caring and more humane Ontario and Canada. So, je voudrais vous remercier pour vos efforts et pour votre énergie pour cette grande task. So, félicitations and Godspeed to you. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. This brings us to our end. We got one thing to do. Let's get her on her way and let's cheer her and let's walk with her. And here we go. Dee, lead off. Okay, you're leading.
Okay, we're going straight down there, guys.
Okay.